Imagine if we had a second brain that could help us when we are not available, kind of similar to Harry Potter and in Futurama. How cool wouldn't that be? Well, the thing is, we actually already do have a second brain because we are feeding a lot of personal information to ChatGPT every day, and that is creating an awesome document that we can use as our second brain. And that means that we can even live on when we're dead, kind of similar to Futurama. How cool is that? So I love being a first mover, of course, so I already went ahead and made my second brain, and you can chat with it on chatwithmybrain.com. Go ahead and test it out. And the thing is, I need to sleep 8 hours a night, so that's when it's very useful. It's probably similar to you. And if you would like a similar brain made, I'm looking for 10 users to onboard totally for free, and in a couple of days you will have your second brain as well. So just hit the like button, subscribe of course, and then write a comment saying yes please, and then I'll reach out to you and I'll go ahead and make your second brain. So in this video I'll just explain what kind of data that is being stored when we're using ChatGPT and how that is actually really awesome, and how the data that we are feeding to Google usually is quite different from what we're feeding to ChatGPT. Let's do it, guys. Okay, so for Google you can see all your information on the My Google activity. So just go to myactivity.google.com and you see your data there. And then there's also takeout.google.com. This is where you can basically export all the data that Google has on you basically. So if we start with the My Google activity, so here you can see all the information I'm doing every day basically that Google is storing on you, right? So here you can see I was searching for World Surf League. Down here I was searching for Pango books. Here I used the Play console and so on, right? So for me there's actually not that much information, but that is mainly just because I've turned off the web and app activity here and also the timeline. So most actually have this one on, I believe. So if you have this one on, much more information is being stored about you, which is not a problem per se. That is just how it is, and you can then see all your information in here. Now for the takeout.google.com, here you can basically select all the information that you want to export. So these are all the Google products that exist. So if you just select all of them and then click next, then you can basically export all the data and you will then get it in a zip file, and that zip file might actually be huge. As you can see here, it might be 2 gigabytes or more, right? I'm actually in the middle of exporting mine, and as you can see here, it can also take quite a long time. And by the way, if we go back to My Google activity, you can then also delete all the information if you wanted to. And to do that, you just click up here and then you click on always, and then you just select everything here and delete everything. Just remember that it's not necessarily a problem that Google has all this information about you, because it can also make some of the services easier for you to use, right? So for instance, when you come back, it might remember that before I've searched for World Surf League, and now I can easily just click the shortcut to take me there, similar with Google Chrome and so on, right? So just be aware of that before you go ahead and delete all your data. Great. And for ChatGPT, it works in a similar way. So of course, we want ChatGPT to remember some of the information at least that we are giving to it, because it just makes it much easier when we then chat to it the day after that it remembered what I was telling it yesterday. And where can we then find this information that we've been giving to it? Well, we find that here. If you go down here and then go to settings and then you click on data controls, then you can basically export all of it here by clicking on the export, and then you'll get what is called a memory.json file. And you can also delete all of it up here. You can delete it here, delete chats, and you can delete remote browser data. And here on the personalization, you can also toggle or untoggle if you want ChatGPT to save memories when responding, and also if you want it to reference chat history. So there's a lot of cool things you can do here. And once you exported your information from ChatGPT, it will look somewhat like this, right? So this is a JSON file, and you will basically have all the information that you've been talking with ChatGPT about in this format. And what you can also do, which is really cool, is that you can basically tell it to give you all the information that it has on you in a JSON format that you can download, but without any personal information. And that is actually really cool, because sometimes you might want that information that you can use for other services that I'll show you in a second. And it usually takes about a minute for it to give you that file, but here, as you can see, it then gives me the JSON file that I wanted. So the JSON file without any personal information in it. Cool. So now that we know what kind of data both Google and ChatGPT ChatGPT is storing about us. Let's also just discuss the differences though. So the way we use Google is for information retrieval, right? So that can be questions like who is that person, what's the age of that person, how to get from A to B, stuff like that. And we get it back in a way that we then have to then still use some time to actually figure out what the answer was for that question that we gave Google. At least that's how it used to be before it added the AI summaries in the top. Whereas with ChatGPT, it's more of a conversation, right? So it's an ask and then you get the answer back immediately. So we're basically talking about search versus ask. So on the search, which used to be Google, the old Google, we got some results back and then we still had to use time to actually figure out the answer to whatever we were searching for. Whereas now with the ChatGPT interface, we get the answer back immediately. But there's also a huge difference in what we are asking now on ChatGPT. So for instance, what I noticed that I started doing is when I'm in the supermarket, for instance, I can take a picture of the back of a product. So let's say an olive oil product. So I take an image of the label there and then I send it to ChatGPT and then I send another image of another olive oil bottle and then I ask it to compare the two olive oils basically because I want to find the most healthy one. So we are basically asking way more personal questions to ChatGPT compared to Google. Also, I know that a lot of users are using ChatGPT as a personal doctor now, right? So they send the information that they have maybe gotten from their actual doctors to ChatGPT and then they ask ChatGPT to analyze that information. Similarly, maybe people are using it as their legal assistant, right? So maybe they got some information or some documents from their solicitors and then they send that to ChatGPT and ask it to interpret it and maybe also come with recommendations on what they should do. So basically the information that ChatGPT has on us is way more personal than what Google has on us. And that is super interesting because these kind of ask questions tells and explains much more about the person asking them than what the searches did on Google. So basically the file that ChatGPT has on us is almost like a digital brain of how we are, how we ask questions, what we're interested in, and so on. Because think about it, you know Futurama, which is my favorite cartoon, right? There are these talking heads in a jar. That's what they're called, as you see here on this screenshot here, right? So all dead people, they are preserved somehow in a jar with water and then they're fed and they can basically live on forever. So that's where we are now with our memory.json files. We all have them, right? And think about it, we just started this AI revolution, right? But this memory.json file will know everything about us in a couple of years. It already does actually. So think about it, that scene here that you see here from Futurama is not that futuristic anymore. We can have this now, right? Because we just have to keep on feeding our memory.json file and then we'll basically have a digital brain that can live on forever. Now, because I love being ahead of people, I already went ahead and made my head in a jar and it's placed here on chatwithmybrain.com. So now you can basically go here and chat with me when I am asleep. So right now you can see that I'm actually awake. So you can also just reach me on email, X, YouTube, like you are already doing. And by the way, please keep on asking me questions on email, on Twitter, and so on. This is not a substitute, but I do need to sleep 8 hours a night, right? So when I'm asleep, you can then just ask my digital brain here, right? So if I ask it something like, who are you? It's then gonna answer questions pretty much as good as I could do it myself. So please go ahead and test it out. So it knows everything about all my YouTube videos as well as the AI marketplace course that I made, right? So I feeded it all that information. So basically it should be just as good as myself at answering all these questions. So when I'm asleep, please just ask this digital brain of mine, right? And again, it's located on chatwithmybrain.com. I also went ahead, of course, and changed my Gmail signature. So there's now a link to my digital brain. So when I'm asleep, my digital brain can help you answer your questions. And when I'm asleep, you can see it here, right? So you can see that here it says I'm probably asleep, but my digital brain is still online. And that is the perfect time for you to just go ahead and ask my digital brain all the questions that you have and it will answer you back straight away. So go ahead and test it out. Also, I'm looking for 10 users who would like to have a digital brain as well, right? So similar to this one that I have right here. So if you would like to have one as well, then just comment on this video, just write yes please and I'll reach out to you. You can also just send me an email or contact me on Twitter. That is also totally fine, but I'm only looking for 10, so please hurry up and reach out to me and then I'll make one of these for you for free. That is it for this one, guys. I hope that you liked it, and please remember that this is not a replacement for me, of course. My digital brain is just meant as a helper when I'm sleeping. So please just keep on sending your questions to me here on YouTube, on email, on Twitter. That is totally fine, and I love getting your questions. So please remember that. Okay guys, that was it for this one. I hope that you liked it. See you in the next one. See you. Bye bye. Ciao.